Hello, my name's Master 101,
Yeti.
and we're back with another episode of Darkest D&D. This time around, we'll be talking about our favorite classes that we played.
Our favorite and least favorite classes, and we're gonna give you the general rundown of like all we've played, so you kind of get where we're coming from. You've played 4th and 5th edition.
Yep.
Right? And I have played 1st edition, 4th, and 5th.
Yep.
By far, the experience in 5th, I played, the longest campaign I ever played was in 4th edition. I've only ever played 2 games in 1st edition, but they were some of the funnest games I've played.
I mean, that basically works out for me because I've only played technically 2 games in 5th edition. Both run by you.
So I'm going to start with 1st edition. Now, 1st edition is far different from like any further editions on the list because there was so many restrictions on what you could and you couldn't play, and it was kind of ridiculous. There's like certain races couldn't be certain classes if you never experienced 1st edition before. Women and men had different physical stats automatically. Couldn't play with each other, period. Certain classes couldn't play with anyone that wasn't of the alignment. But I remember 1st edition, my first party in 1st edition was everyone was magic user. We had like 2 elves. One of them was like an illusionist. One of them was a magic user. We had a gnome that was a magic user, and then we had a dwarf that was like a very squishy stabby boy, because they're not called rogues in Persian. They're called thieves.
They're called stabby boys.
They're called stabby boys. And then we had another person that was like a druid for a little bit before they dropped out, and they were also an elf. We had 3 fucking elves. We had 3 fucking elves, a gnome, a dwarf, and then I made a fucking orc cleric because somebody had to keep the party alive, and orcs was stabby boys, clerics, and fighters were the only thing orcs can be. And I made a full-blooded orc character, and I made Macho Man Savage to keep the party alive. And I remember literally there was a point in time where I told off the Grim Reaper saying, if you want to get to the party, you gotta go through me. And I am the only reason we made 10th level. We didn't even make it to the end game because we died before the game ended. But the only reason we survived the 10th level was because I was the only tank, the only melee combatant, and the only healer. And then my other character was a very flip side of this, was a halfling illusionist that I made Harry Houdini, I think. And they were really bad.
Got everything?
They were so bad at doing most things, but they could make people think stuff wasn't there. And so they were people. And now I go to 4th edition. So we should break 4th edition down to two points. We've played a 4th edition game that was not 4th edition. Well, it was 4th edition, but not in any of the set game worlds. Used all kinds of stuff that wasn't allowed in 4th edition.
Oh yeah, that was...
We went 50th level when 4th edition ends at 30th level. It was game-breaking left and right.
Oh yeah.
My character, I made a Terminator. I didn't start off as this, but I ended up becoming a nano machine, liquid metal shape-shifting Terminator. Who had the personality of GLaDOS.
You also like to transform into... You also like to transform into Peter Dinklage and Scarlett Johansson. Yep.
And I kept hacking machines and becoming vans and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my character alone drew from 3 or 4 different classes. I remember I took powers from cleric and artificer and scion and rogue and just random shit. And I was the team's healer because I was I took a path that let me be Bill Nye the Science Guy. And I just, like, started throwing potions at shit. So that's how I healed.
Then on the flip side, you had my character, which I lovingly dubbed the Chromomancer. And basically, his ability was to be everything. That's what it was. I was a warrior, I was a long shot, like, sniper. I don't know what my water form was. I could torment people with their memories and stuff with my psychic form.
That's like 3 times.
What?
You got possessed like 3 times.
No, I think it was only twice.
You got a druid form? Because you got to, like, summon a dragon or something.
Yeah, I got to turn into a dragon.
We were all superheroes. Like, it was not Marvel. It's like DC level superheroes. They're like game breaking. Because we had people who made, like, basically Goku and the Avatar and guy with the gun. It's like generic guy with a gun and a freaking demon and Raven and, like, all kinds of crazy ass bullshit. Like, my character, the shape-shifting robot that was like perfect, was low on the power scale compared to what other people have made. But that's the breaking D&D game outside. Now it's just let the restaurant go fast.
So on the flip side of that, my first D&D character was a Deva wizard, and he was not a very good wizard. He was pretty bad, actually. Then my second character was a Dragonborn sorcerer, and my final character, when it came to 4th edition, was a Goliath sword mage, which I'm not really a big fan of sword mages in general.
Didn't you make a Dragonborn?
Yeah, that's what I said, Dragonborn sorcerer.
Okay. In 4th edition, I made a Kodiak Brown Bear Paladin, a Shardmine Warlord / Scion, that was a healer. I made an elf-orc monk, she was incredibly fun to play. She was like this grandma, like, person that, like, only taught, like, had all these scars and, like, kept teaching all the kiddos how to do shit, and she was basically like, you never left the monastery, and the adventure was she was leaving the monastery. And then I made Eldritch Horror Cat Bard. That was like Kyubey from Madoka Magica.
Please don't.
That was like your first ever campaign. I should have never made that character because they broke the fucking game and made every other person be like, we can break this fucking game. And we were horrible. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
And the reason that I bring that up so much is because we decided that after breaking the fucking game, like, just to shout out the level of game breaking that my cat bard was, my cat bard, first thing she ever did was, like, steal someone's soul.
Yep. And
she earned it because she tricked the guy, and then, like, made him, like, super free soul. But then her name, like, was just the Slenderman Screeching. But and then I made a goblin wizard that was a family man that, like, there was, when we reset the campaign, and was like the reason that everyone was gathered together because he had, like, found one character on the side of the road and, like, adopted another one. The other one, then the one person was, like, his brother-in-law, and another person was his cousin, and that was the reason we were together. And I was just a goblin working hard to support his family, who was, like, married a minotaur and, like, adopted a centaur and, like, a dragonborn, like, a tiefling. And we're like, oop-a-doop-a-doop. And he was a wizard, but he had armor that was made by his daughter, so he could wear armor and not die. And that was my 4th edition characters.
But you know what? I appreciate you remaking your character for my campaign that horribly got taken off the rails. But anyway, personally, my favorite classes when it comes to D&D are caster classes. I just like sitting.
You haven't listed your 5th edition characters yet.
Oh, right. I only really have 2 5th edition characters that I really remember playing. One was a vampire samurai, which I just wanted to be a normal human warrior, but no, somebody wanted me to be special. And then my other one was a bat person cleric. I set a witch on fire, I believe.
Yep.
And now Chris is going to tell you all about all of his fucking 5th edition characters. Because he has like 10.
Okay. Oh. Bob the Dwarf Fighter, who is basically a mob boss, personally one of my favorite characters. I played a straight-up Silver Dragon in a Christmas D&D campaign and got thrown down a mountain like a toboggan by a pixie monk with a strength of like 20. And everyone jumped on my dragon, we rode down the mountain, we saved Christmas because we stopped a cult. Then I made a mute drow druid that was a pirate and like turned into a Loch Ness monster. I did not want to make this character, but I made one called Timmy, the Kobold Warlock, which was actually a DM PC, and the only DM PC I've ever made, because the party would not leave this Kobold alone. And so he became a PC. Then I made an Orc Paladin in a game that was ourselves, like the party got turned into D&D races and became in the D&D world. I was an Orc Paladin. I was best friends with a Kobold Druid and a Goblin Rogue, and we called ourselves Greenpeace. We were all green. We were the only good characters in the party, even though we also had a dwarf, a halfling, and an elf. And then I made a half-elf barbarian princess that broke the game and subsequently reality. But that was okay because it turned into a Planescape game.
Banana bread,
Three-eyed saber-toothed panther rogue. I made a Khajiit ranger, an elephant artificer, superhero that she just like kept possessing people before she got turned back into a immortal form. I made an Amazon monk. I made an Amazon rogue. I made a ghost possessing a half-elf bard, which was a weird story because like I initially was playing a familiar, and then the person who I was playing the familiar of got kicked out of the game because she was a bitch. And then the party was like, well, we really like your ghost character. And so I just possessed her body because her soul got ripped out by a god. And then I just took over. And I'm like, oh, okay, here I am again. And I basically became the party mom. And then I was a hippo gunslinger, a mermaid monk, which I'm currently playing. And I also played a Velociraptor Ranger that was also the party's mom. And you go.
Like I said, the only 2 characters that I've had in 5th edition are a vampire warrior and a chiropractor, a bat person cleric, and those are pretty fun to play.
What's your favorite classes?
Like, as I was saying, my favorite classes have to be just casters. I love just sitting back and sort of, like, casting spells, doing damage that way, freaking the enemy party out. And that's about it. I'm not a big fan of, like, classes that have to get up close and personal. Because, like, I fear my characters dying. Because I sort of grow attached to them. What about you?
I think my favorite classes to play are generally healers. I don't like being religious, but I will be if it's called for or if I have a cool idea. I play healers. I like playing healers when I'm not forced to be the healer. If you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I loved playing an orc cleric. I loved that character. I liked playing Zero and how he was just like, oh, your arm's missing. Here's some morphine in the arm or some bullshit like that. I liked as my Velociraptor Ranger how I was able to like heal people, like not great, but I was able to like stitch them up even though I was a dinosaur.
Right.
Or like my bard was like able to sing songs that brought people back to life, which is ironic. But I like playing healers when I'm not forced to be. I do like. I know it's cliche, but I just like that style of fighting, and I'm always inspired by like Avatar: The Last Airbender or like old kung fu movies. Or I was a boxer for several years in real life. And I like hand-to-hand combat. So I've played several monks that I enjoyed. I especially like my Amazon monk because she was able to grow like 2 sizes larger and just punch people in the face. I don't much care for. I've played. I think fighter, especially in 5th edition, is a little underpowered. But I did like the one fighter I've played. I have not played much in the way of warlocks. I don't care too much for warlocks. I think they're a little underpowered once again, and I think they're a little bit weird in design. Rangers are difficult to play, especially in 5th edition, because they're really, really underpowered.
Right.
But I do not care so much for playing rogues. Like, I'll play a rogue if I come up with a good idea for them.
Chris.
I don't just really volunteer for rogues.
Banana bread.
Banana bread.
Alright. Well, this has been another episode of Darkest D&D. I'm Oremaster 101.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.